thank Mattyvison.com. Thank you, Quinn, for stopping by. What a great former cross-country swimmer he was. Maybe not back in the day. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Sports Report for September 23rd, 2072.
What?
Marty McFly, Christian Baller, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a doctor of sports right there. The Honorable Muggsy. Nitch is in the house. Nitch. Muggsy, the Honorable Muggsy, yes. And there's phones ringing right here.
God.
Normally we start off with Muggs with the local high school. We got a real cool story here. Written by that brilliant author Brian Fetzko here about a Dunmore DGR Dunmore Greenridge Soccer. It's called Hanny Scores. Hanny? Hanni. Hanny? I think it's Hanny. Hanny? On Sunday, September 15th, Sam Hanny, you're going to say Hanny?
I guess.
Hanny. He scored his first goal. After showing his strong presence and striking ability at the previous practice, Coach Brian Fetzko, well, he's the author and the coach.
He does a lot, that Brian guy.
He's multi-skilled, that Brian Fetzko. He decided to have Sam start as the lone striker in the Sheets Monsters match. All right, my eyes aren't good when you get old. Against Lackawanna Trail, I'm gonna get in trouble for. What's that? Schmonsters. My eyes again. It's me. About 5 minutes into the match, Sheets was awarded a penalty kick after LT defender handled the ball inside the box. Referee placed the ball on the spot for the kick. Several players argued as to who was going to take the shot from the bench. Coach Fetzko yelled, "Sam, you take the kick." Brilliant call, I think, here. Everyone questioned that decision, even Sam. Coach Fetzko knew he was doing, he had complete faith in Sam. He lined up for the kick and he was nervous. He wanted to rush and get it over with, but the ref stopped him and said, "Wait for my signal." The ref checked the keeper, and with that, the whistle blew, signaling Sam's time to take the kick. I'm like mumble mouth here, but this is a very exciting tale. He approached the spot. A quiet fell over the field. Sam, who missed the goal last year on attempt, knew that he only had to kick the ball forward. With all of his power, Sam made the move. He started directly from behind the ball to keep the keeper from guessing where he was going to put the ball. He made strong contact with the ball, complete follow-through, and placed the ball in the upper right corner of the goal. Keeper made a slight move to the right, completely missing the ball. Awesome. Sam stood there in amazement, not knowing what to do after scoring. He threw up his arms, smiled, and jumped up and down as he went back to the side of the field. When he was later subbed out in the first quarter, Coach asked him where he was aiming that shot. He said, "I was aiming for the upper left side of the goal." Coach Fetzko added, "But you put it in the upper right side," to which Sam replied, "But I still scored."
That's the important thing.
Congratulations, Sam Hanni, on scoring his first goal. Awesome stuff. Dunmore, Greenridge Soccer.
That's not an easy thing to do when you're, it's a team sport, but when you get a penalty kick or a penalty shot in hockey, you're out there on the island all by yourself. And
awesome stuff.
That's nerve-wracking there.
Yeah.
And also good move by Coach Fetzko.
Going
with his gut there.
What a brilliant coach he is. Brilliant. He's funny looking, though. Real funny looking. All right, ladies and gentlemen, all rise. Here come the judge. Here come the judge. Muggs.
Well, how can we top that opening? How about with the Week 4 showdown in high school football last Friday night? Old Forge took on Dunmore, and the #1 Bucks held off the valiant effort of the #2 ranked Blue Devils, winning 21-16.
Usually those games that have a lot of hype don't turn out, to be what people talk about for weeks to come. But that game was a brilliant game.
And it's
fought.
It's only round 1 because it's very likely that those two teams
probably will meet again.
Will be meeting for the district playoffs come November. But that brings me to a new top 10, and of course #1 is Dunmore after that win over Old Forge. DeQuan Buckley had 112 yards rushing in the game against Old Forge. Shakal Blackwell had a 30-yard touchdown reception from Brandon Kajowski that tied the game up after Old Forge had a 14-7 halftime lead for the Bucks there. Then they had a goal line stand at the end.
The tough team, Dunmore.
Yeah.
They're hard to put away.
Yep. Then the new number 2 teams, the Scranton Prep Cavaliers.
Well deserving.
Hey, Preppy.
A lot of people were wondering if what would happen when Scranton Prep would get into a game. Well, it still hasn't happened yet. Another blowout, this time over the 2-time defending league champion Scranton, 41-6 last Saturday at Memorial Stadium. Pat Marino had 88 yards rushing, and Owen Pera was a monster from his fullback spot and from his linebacker position, as Scranton Prep blocked a punt, set up a touchdown, recovered a fumble, and set up a touchdown, all within the first 5 minutes of that game for the Cavaliers. The number 3 team, the Abingtonites Comets, they're 4-0. They got their own kind of scare up at the pit.
Yeah, that is a dogfight up there with Del Val.
That's always, those two always play good competitive games. Abington gave up their first points of the season against Delaware Valley. They were actually trailing 18-16 with 3 minutes left, but the quarterback, J.C. Shao,
Well, it's the Big Show!
led the Comets right back down the field. He hooked up with Joe Carroll for a 3-yard touchdown pass with 15 seconds left. Abington Heights gets the 22-18 win over Delaware Valley, a very improving Delaware Valley squad.
Yeah, what an athlete that kid is. He's just he's the most clutch player in our area in any sport. Basketball, football. I think I heard he's pretty good at badminton too.
He's a killer on the badminton court.
He can do it all.
Dropping 2 spots this week is Old Forge. Like I said, Old Forge statistically outgained Dunmore, but 3 fumbles just wasn't in the cards, especially when 2 of them lead directly to Dunmore touchdowns. That's just not can't beat a good team like that. But Brandon Yuskavich proved that he was worth the price of admission. 151 yards and a couple touchdowns against the Bucks. They have the Tri-Borough Pizza rivalry this week with Riverside. Riverside's they're gonna be up for this game. See what happens out in Pizza Land this week.
And Blue Devils can't have a letdown after that tough loss in Dunmore. They gotta come out firing.
They gotta come out ready to play. Yes, sir. Number 5, the only team in the Lackawanna Football Conference not to be scored upon yet, the Carbondale Chargers.
Boy.
Who would have thought that at the beginning of the season? They are 4-0. They are led by the running back of Brad Sales. They went up to Lakeland, up to Chapman Lake, never an easy place to play, and they beat them 27-0. Not even allowing Lakeland into the red zone until the very end of the game.
They got a tough defense. Got a good middle linebacker up there too.
Yeah, Tim Mantis, he leads the defensive charge.
The praying mantis.
Tackling Mantis.
Yeah, he leads the charge for the Charger defense. Like I said, Brad Sales had 152 yards rushing. Jason Martin he caught a couple of touchdown passes for the Chargers, and they have I guess you could say, an interesting game this week. They played Honesdale. Honesdale's been on the cusp this season. They finally got through in the win column this week. They had a 21-0 win over Montrose. Like I said, Honesdale's got Kyle Carney, Kevin Miller, 2 guys who can run the ball, throw the ball, catch the ball. They certainly could break down the wall that is the Carbondale end zone. And Carbondale cannot look ahead because the following week they are playing the next team on the list, number 6, the Lackawanna Trail Lions. They had a very easy game this week with Western Wayne, 45-10. John Zedar, 212 yards rushing. How many carries do you think he had?
219.
No, he had 11.
Oh,
11 carries.
close.
11 carries, 212 yards.
Well, I overshot that one.
Lackawanna Trail just continues to pile up the points up there in Dalton, the Tunnel Hill up there. So that's the lines. Number 7, the West Scranton Invaders.
West Side!
Had the tough loss with Dunmore 2 weeks ago, 27-7. And it wasn't the greatest of wins, to be honest, last week against North Pocono. It was only 24-0. They left a lot on the table in this game. Not the way they want to be heading into the meat of their schedule, I guess you could say. Cullen Fanning had 74 yards receiving, including a 39-yard touchdown reception from Leo Chulo. And West Scranton, they will be playing on Saturday. They will be making the hour-long trek to Milford to play Delaware Valley.
West Side!
And then we all know who they're playing the week after, right?
Dun, 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 dun. Classic game, huh?
Yes, sir.
For whom
Big game.
the bell tolls.
Yep. And Doctor, you better clear your schedule because you know I want to be on a show next week. Number 8 on the list is Lakeland. Actually now they're 3-1 on the year. They're not 2-2. They're 3-1 because District 2 ruled that their loss to Valley View had used an ineligible player over the weekend. We don't know who the player is, and we don't want to speculate on it. But as far as ranking purposes are concerned, Lakeland is now 3-1. Valley View is 2-2 on the year. Because Valley View they went down to East Stroudsburg North. Valley View is now number 8 in the rankings. They had a tough game with the Timberwolves of East Stroudsburg North last week. Scott Woodchiljak had 181 yards rushing. He scored all 3 touchdowns for Valley View. But for the Cougars, they've come together on offense, like I said, these last few weeks. And they're going to need it as they will be playing a very must-win game. A must-win on both ends, I guess you could say, with the Scranton Knights this Friday. They are the number 10 team in the top 10. Scranton has dropped the last 2 games, and obviously, like you said, last Saturday was, I don't know what you can call that.
It's horrible.
They played a good team.
Yeah, I think that was more saying of how good Scranton Prep is.
Absolutely.
It was tough.
I mean, Jake McCarthy just continues to rack up the yards. He's had over 100 yards both those games, but the rest of the some parts, I guess, haven't performed. So, we'll see. But like I said, Valley View Scranton, that is a must-win for both of those teams. As the winner will take a lot of momentum into the second half of the season. Like a couple of things here. That's about it for football. That's my top 10. I've touched on a couple of the big games for this week. Matt, Moose, you got a Falcons report there?
Oh, yes we do. The Purple Pride of West Side. Before we get into their game against Monroe, the big rival, let's talk about the Falcon Cheerleaders had their big competition in Abington. The C team took 3rd place in the hello cheer. The doctor was big in the hello cheer when he was cheering there. And took 1st in the dance. Everyone knows Muggs can dance. The B team, 1st place in the hello cheer. 1st place in the hometown cheer. And 2nd place in the dance. B team, yes. The A team, 1st in the hometown cheer, 2nd place in the hello cheer, hello, and 2nd in the dance. Way to go, Falcon Cheerleaders. They're often overlooked cheerleaders are just as important as the football players.
They work just as hard. They really do.
They probably work harder. Them cheerleaders really got it. All right, Falcons did play Monroe. Up at Monroe, wherever Monroe is.
Down.
Is there. The D team, they won 13-0. Big shout out there, D team. C team wins 32-13 with that massive Caden Merrifield scoring
monster
3 touchdowns. Mike Gallet had 2 touchdowns, and this is the first time the C team beat Monroe at their field. So way to go, guys. B team won 6-0. Gavin Slack scoring the touchdown, and there was no A game because Monroe doesn't have an A team.
So they didn't lose the A team. All right.
So the Falcons with another sweep there, Monroe. Great job, guys. Loving the Purple Pride of West Side. West Scranton football starts with the Falcons. Remember that. Thank you, Francine Merrifield, Stacy Booten, for your on-the-field coverage and stories. Thank you. I hope I got the names pronounced right.
We got to make sure those kids are wearing blue and white at West Side when they reach of age.
Oh, sure they will. Sure. Most of them will. Back to you, Muggs.
Okay. It was a good segue with the start there, talking about what was his name?
Merrifield.
No, at the beginning, the soccer.
Hanny?
Yeah.
You can call him by his first name.
Sam.
Sam, yeah.
Sam,
But
Sam.
I do have some soccer to report on. Soccer got underway about two and a half weeks ago, and the usual suspects are still there, but So I'll start with girls and we'll go to the boys. Okay, how's that?
Sure.
Very
All right.
gentlemanly of you.
Yep. Division 1, the usual suspects are on top. Scranton Prep, Abington Heights, 4-0-1. All right, you get that? 4-0-1. And as you might expect,
Did they tie one another?
yes, they did. They
Okay.
tied on September 3rd, the first match of the season. It was a 1-1 tie. Allie Christman had the goal for Abington. Elena Falcon had the goal for Scranton Prep. And like I said, there are the usual suspects in soccer, or anything, I guess you could say. Division 2 girls, Wallen-Paulpack, the only unbeaten in Division 2. They're 5-0. They are led by the law firm of Man and Man.
Who the man?
Is that one end or two?
Two ends.
Two ends.
Well, Bridget Manch, if you remember from basketball last year from Wallen-Paulpack, she's the main goal scorer. She scored 4 goals in a game against Honesdale last week. And Nikki Man had 2 goals against Scranton also last week for the Buckhorn soccer team up there in Hawley.
Come on. Marley.
Division 3 girls, pretty competitive here. First place right now is Holy Cross.
Holy Cross!
They are 4-1. Lakeland is 3-1. These two had a pretty good tussle themselves the first week of the season. Holy Cross got the 5-4 win. Big game there. 2 goals from Ashley Hensel for Holy Cross, including the game winner in the 83rd minute with the clock running down. The clock was running down in that game for Holy Cross. They get the 5-4 win. That's why they're on top of Division 3 right now. Division 4 girls, Mountain View is 3-0. Montrose 4-1. Mountain View got a 4-2 win over Montrose back on September 5th. Ollie Verbitsky had 2 goals and an assist for Mountain View. But the Montrose got a big win last week. They beat Holy Cross 3-0. Led by Myra Lattimore. She had a goal for the Lady Meteors up there. You remember her from basketball last year, right? So that takes care of the girls. Going to the boys, Division 1, pretty competitive here. Of course, you have Scranton Prep, 4-1. Then Abington Heights and Valley View are tied at 3-1-1. Abington and Valley View tied to open the season 2-2 on September 9th. Abington beat Scranton Prep earlier in the year, so that shows how competitive that division is right now. But it's not as competitive as Division 2 on the boys' side. Listen to these records. Wallen-Paulpack, 3-0-2. Western Wayne, 2-2-2. North Pocono, 2-2-1. Honesdale, 2-3-1. Delaware Valley, 1-3-2.
Tight.
And they're all playing. So it's like a tie, a win, a loss.
Big everywhere.
But the big story was Honesdale. They upset Abington Heights. That's where Abington's one loss is last week, 3-1. Honesdale got goals from Mike Gambita and Gage Wassman and Alex Szymanski. Simahaski. Hope I pronounced that right, the second time at least. But it was a 3-1 victory for Honesdale that puts Abington right now behind Scranton Prep in the divisional standings, because 1 and 2 cross over with each other. And Division 3, it's a whole mess of teams in there, but it's Mountain View, the defending state champions in soccer. We hadn't touched on them yet, but they are defending their state championship, and they still got their usual suspects, Zeb Cross and Colby Thomas, the guys that just kept pounding in the goals last year for them up there in Kingsley, wherever that. You ever been up to Kingsley?
No. Isn't that where the Hobbit was filmed?
No, I don't know. But Mountain View right now currently 4-0 on the year. A lot of teams, Elk Lake 3-0-1. Then you have Montrose, Holy Cross, and Blue Ridge. They're all 3-1. So it's very competitive in there, but Mountain View continues to dominate. One quick note, Forest City's Wade Loomis. He set a school record last week with 7 goals.
Holy smokes!
He's 7 goals at a 10-3 win over Old Forge. You figure you take him out of the equation, it would have been a tie.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah, and one other quick thing I'd like to touch on here. You remember Tessa Bear, right?
Yep.
The great cross-country, great track star. Well, she just continues to dominate. Listen to these numbers that she's put up so far this year. She's already run. She's run so many races so far. At North Pocono a couple weeks ago, she ran a 17:17 to win the girls' race at North Pocono. She was actually second of all the runners who ran that day. Imagine that, a cross country where usually you'd have about 20 boys before you'd see the first girl.
Yeah.
She was the second second person across the finish line in that meet.
Jeez.
Yeah. And, she also recently was the PIAA Foundation Cross Country Invitational Champion in the 3A level, which is the highest classification there is in cross country. She ran a 17:48, which set a record down at the Hershey course for the state champion.
Born to run, huh?
Yeah.
The boss.
Yeah, that's where the state at Hershey by the golf course in Hershey by Hershey Park. That's where they run the state title every year.
Just got a new nickname.
Stadium.
Tessa the Boss Bear.
The boss.
The Boss Bear, yep. Hopefully our friend Oxy's put a picture of her up already. I hope he did that. Also quickly want to touch on a outstanding boy runner, Nate Morgan from Lakeland. He's put some good times together so far this year. He ran a 17:16 at Susquehanna earlier this year, and a 17:07 at Naog Park's course back on September 10th. And his teammate at the Susquehanna meet last week, Mark Arzi, ran a 17:42 for the Chiefs. Lakeland always has a good running program up there, so we'll see how they do with the districts coming up in about 4 weeks, and then the state meet after that at Hershey. Yeah, that's all I got today. I am out.
Gavel is bang, ladies and gentlemen. Instead of having 2 shows, we're going to jump right into the Doctor of Sports. He wants to talk a little 0-3 and 3-0 football teams here.
Beautiful segue there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why that's real relevant is because most of the teams who are 0-3 are teams that people in our region are fans of. We got the Giants, the Redskins, and the Steelers. You know, I think the biggest surprise 0-3 team, even though they weren't a playoff team last year, is the New York Giants. You know?
Yeah.
And by the way, they went down yesterday to the Carolina Panthers.
They didn't even.
Who were also 0-for to go into the year.
The Giants didn't even put up a fight.
38-0 against Cam Newton.
I mean, it's like saying that Van Tateo's girlfriend put on the Giants pads yesterday. Because
that's low, but we're gonna keep going with it. No, but they didn't show up. They didn't even get out of the blocks. Eli's getting blasted. He's not comfortable in the pocket. They have 13 turnovers in 3 games. That's the biggie there. And of course that happens a lot when you're continuously down in the game.
Yeah, you don't have a ruddy game, so Eli has to throw the ball, and he's not. I mean, you put Eli in a comfortable situation. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the game. Put him in a bad spot like it's been the first 3 weeks. He's gonna make mistakes all over the field.
And not even on that side of the ball. The defenses look lost too. They're not the defense they were when they were winning titles. Let's put it that way.
No, they're not.
Weak linebacker core, secondary which underperforming.
And Jason Pierre-Paul, admittedly, he's not at 100%.
He's not healthy yet.
So it's not looking too good for the and it's a good segue because they play one of the 3-0 teams this weekend, right?
They're playing
the Chiefs.
The Chiefs, yeah. The Chiefs who beat the Eagles last week. That was a game that Thursday nighter.
Yeah.
Andy Reid, Big Red, wearing the red, came back to the link.
Donovan McNabb his jersey was retired.
Yeah, there's a big night down there, and the Chiefs.
I mean, you could have made the argument the Chiefs could have been good, but I didn't think they'd be 3-0. Considering
they had like a very underrated defense. Brandon Flowers, Eric Berry.
Yeah, because you remember they for as bad as they were last year, they still put 6 players on the Pro Bowl team.
Yeah, they did. And Alex Smith hasn't lost a game in like 2 years now. So he's a quintessential game manager.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Quintessential.
Yeah.
You can look it up in the dictionary later. But
getting back to what you said about the 0-3 teams, yeah.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow.
The prime time against the Bears, they got off to
a rocky start. I guess
17-0. They were down early.
Let's not mince words. The Bears are a very good football team.
They're a solid football team, and the Steelers showed a little backbone. You know that they came back and they made the game competitive. They were down 1 score in the third quarter, but you turn the ball over 5 times in the game, it's hard to win.
Especially when 2 of those the Bears make their living on making turnovers and returning them for touchdowns.
Yeah. And 4 of the turnovers resulted in scores. I think it might have been 4 touchdowns that resulted.
Yeah, like I said, I've never seen a defense that literally goes right on offense when they make an interception.
Oh, they do immediately.
Yeah,
you're right.
It's like it's
almost like they're a special teams.
You have to play a perfect game to beat the Bears.
I want to know what defensive lineman has more touchdowns than Julius Peppers in the history of the game. We should look that up coming in, but it seems like he's always scoring, you know?
Yep.
RG3 and the Redskins are 0-3.
But they did play better yesterday.
Yeah, they lost to the Detroit Lions. First time Detroit won in Washington since I think George Washington was president. I'm not sure.
Something like that.
RG3 had a couple big turnovers. The fumble was really the one that sealed it.
Yeah, but you go. I mean, because if he went feet first, the ref will call him down. But because he went head first and fumbled
because of the dive and
you can't.
And you thought they were teaching him how to slide this year, just to protect their investment in him. Sure. He did look better. He showed some glimpses of the RG3 of old. Nonetheless, 0-3, and I think under 5% of the teams in the history of the league who start out 0-3 make the playoffs. All right, of these 3 teams, who is the most likely to rally? They got to think about this. We're probably going to go with the NFC East team because it's likely that 9-7 could get you in the playoffs in that league. What do you think?
I'd say because the Giants have too much to overcome with they don't have a running game. I think at least you look at the Redskins. Eventually, they have to be better. I mean, RG3's starting to get into his mid-season form. So I'd have to say the Redskins, but I'd say it's a very, very long shot that any of these teams make the push to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, as a Cowboy fan, you think it's their division to lose. It really is. That they had one of their more impressive victories in a number of years. If you're a Cowboy fan, you know what I mean. Every game comes down to the wire. They beat up on the Rams, which is nothing to write home about, I know. But both sides of
take the win. Yeah, you take the win and
it's
move
the
on.
NFL, you know.
Still a win.
The Miami Dolphins, have they been the most impressive undefeated team? I can argue that they're the most impressive team right now in the NFL of all 3 games. They won 2 on the road, and Tannehill brought them back, and they beat Atlanta Falcons yesterday. And again, the Falcons had to win too. You know, so
you look at it now. Like I said, now the Falcons go into a situation where this Sunday is almost must-win in a primetime game against the Patriots.
So that's a good thing about football. This early, there's so many must-win games coming up this week.
Interesting season so far.
Super Bowl contender. People thought if you had to bet money, and an odds maker said the San Francisco 49ers, they'd be in the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, but
not coming to the NFC. But they got absolutely mollywopped.
The last 2 weeks. I mean, where the Week 1 performance is now a mirage.
Oh yeah, when they looked great against
Green Bay.
They got smoked by Seattle, and they got pretty much embarrassed by the Indianapolis Colts.
Like I said, I'll make a statement right now. If Seattle wins home field advantage in the NFC, you don't even need to play the NFC playoffs.
Are you that confident in Seattle?
Right now, considering you'd have to go up to beat Seattle up there, forget it.
That's kind of how Miami reminds me of how Seattle was last year, or like maybe even 2 years ago. That's what the Miami team reminds me of. You know, a scrappy team is just going to get it done, and no matter who they play, they're going to be in the game.
But like you said, San they've really struggled. And I guess Indianapolis, they made a lot of belief. I mean, not a lot of people thought they'd go to San Francisco and win, even with the acquisition of Trent Richardson.
Especially after the fact that San Fran, you'd think they would be
ready to play
after losing to Seattle, you know.
But then again, all the distractions with Alden Smith this week was not what they needed.
And he's going to be leaving the team for
a little bit, yeah. Who knows if he'll even come back and play for them?
That's a tough thing. He's top 2 or 3 pass rushers in the league, you know.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing for their 1 and 2. It's a long season for them. I'm not. And you obviously don't write them off yet.
No.
And this week isn't even a must-win, I'd say.
No.
But you'd like to, get to that 500 threshold.
And the short week they play the Rams, so it is what it is. But what are you gonna do?
What can you do? Baseball playoffs starting soon, buddy. What do you think?
Yeah, you Red Sox, AL East champions.
Was there any doubt coming into the year? I mean, come on.
Oh, I love how modest the doctor is.
Nah.
The Red Sox pretty much went wire to wire.
You think the Red Sox were the AL favorite? Most would say. Who was the NL favorite? Do you go Braves? Do you go Marlins? Do you go Dodgers?
What? Technical on the doctor. Marlins.
Marlins was
Pirates.
Slip up.
I was thinking of 10
Pirates.
years ago.
Pirates got the
Slip
heart.
up.
Pirates, Dodgers, Braves. It's a tough one.
Yeah, you know what?
Raise the Jolly Roger.
It's all going to depend on what the matchups are going to look like.
It's hot, yeah.
But I think right now the American League. I'm not going to give a prediction yet on the playoffs until I see what the playoff matchups actually look like.
Let's just hope people watch.
Yeah, I think a lot, especially the longer the Pirates play, that would be good for baseball. I guess the Indians, if they can make a run, because Cleveland. When was the last thing Cleveland won?
Major League 3 or 2.
Yeah. So,
Pedro Serrano had that big shot. Remember?
Yeah. So, like I said, it's. But yeah, like I won't make a guess until we see what the playoff matchups are actually looking like, and even though the Yankees probably aren't going to be there, I mean, hats off to Mariano Rivera.
Oh yeah.
Had a great career.
He had Metallica play for him yesterday.
Yes, he did.
All right.
Can't get wrong with that.
Yeah. I think that's all I got.
Yeah.
That's all you got? Well, I guess that has been the sports report for September
23rd.
23rd, 2072, I think it is.
Yeah, Marty
something.
McFly.
Yeah, that's right. Coming up after the break, Joe Namath. You're watching Mattyvison.com. We do.